Welcome to The Breakdown's first interview in preparation for the federal election coverage. One of our goals over the next couple of weeks is going to be try to interview all of the candidates that agree to come out to our little field here while we're waiting for our high school and sit down to learn a little bit more of them, to learn a little bit more about their policies, and learn a little bit more about what they're hoping to bring to the constituency of Calgary Skyview. So today we're very fortunate to have with us the People's Party of Canada candidate for Calgary Skyview, Harry Dhillon. Harry, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So to start with, who are you?
Well, I'm just like normal Canadian like you and me.
Okay. What's a normal
I'm
Canadian?
just a Canadian living in Canada who hopes to make this country better.
Okay.
That's what I am.
Okay.
Like, I'm not a special person. I just put my name in the ballot because I want to make a difference in the society that has given me so much.
Okay. Why did you choose to run in Calgary Skyview?
Well, this is my home riding. I've been living in Taradale since 2004.
Okay.
Before that, I lived in Whitehorn for 6-7 years. So this is my home riding. That's why I chose to live in this riding.
Okay, perfect. What drew you to the People's Party of Canada?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, in 2014, I wanted to start a new party.
Okay.
Because
This was easier?
Huh?
This was easier to just join this one, or?
No, I tried it till this March on social media, see if I can get traction. And on May 2nd of this year, 2019, I said, okay, let's look at the policies of PPC. It's a new party because I don't believe in conservative and liberal party anymore.
Okay.
I've been watching for decades, and they are same old, lie to us, don't stand up for their words, they don't stand up for their policies. So when I look at the People's Party of Canada's website, I say, exactly, this is what I've been trying to say. And I signed up within 30 seconds and became a member of the party.
Okay.
And then I looked at it, they didn't have the candidate, they were looking for a candidate. So I put my questionnaire in, and they selected me as a candidate for People's Party of Canada from Calgary Skyview.
Were you the only person that put your name forward, you know?
No,
or?
there was another one, he got disqualified, so I was acclaimed.
Okay, what did you do to get disqualified?
I have no idea.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't go to people's personal life.
Okay, cool. Are you from Calgary originally then, or?
No, I'm born and raised in New Delhi.
Okay.
And in 1991, I came to Calgary. I was 19 years old, and I've been living in Calgary since then.
Okay, perfect. And you came right from New Delhi to Calgary?
Yes, I landed right straight in Calgary.
Okay, perfect. Well, that opens, so you're an immigrant.
Yes, of course I am immigrant.
Excellent. Well, that makes a nice little segue to the first policy I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
So, PPC's immigration policy, can you boil that down for me?
Yes.
It's in very small font here, so if you could just...
So, yes, I will explain why our party has chosen 150,000 maximum immigrants.
Okay.
There's a reason for it. We want to make sure that people who comes to Canada, they come here with lots of dreams, lots of hopes. And if they end up living on the streets in minus 25, their whole dream, all the dreams will be shattered. I don't want any immigrant to face that kind of challenges in Canada and bad name Canada because Canada couldn't take care of them. So we want to make sure the Canadians who wants to become a Canadian, we can take care of them. They have jobs, they have infrastructures, they have housing. I know in Toronto and Vancouver, there's people in 10 people living in one small room, taking shower once a week. Their dreams are shattered. And you also watched the news that was
That's anybody living in Vancouver these days.
but that was also news on CBC.
Yeah.
People are sleeping on the streets. They can sleep anywhere in the world on the streets. They come to Canada not to sleep on the streets. So their dreams, their hopes are shattered. We want to protect immigrants by making sure people who come to Canada, society as a whole can take care of them.
Okay.
So that's important. I'll simplify it. Very simple way. If you live in a house which has 4 bedrooms and 500 of your relatives show up on the same day and they want to live there for 3 months, would you be able to handle it? No. You will say, please, I have this family here. When they're gone, then you can come here so I can take care of you. It's a simple approach. It's just nothing wrong. We are not against immigration. I myself is immigrant. But I want to make sure people who want to immigrate to Canada, their dreams, their hopes are not shattered. That's important.
Okay. If I understand the immigration policy correctly as well, there's a component of it where, and I couldn't find a specific number, the the number of immigrants is also tied to the skills that they're bringing. Is that correct?
Yes. So what we want is there's lots of jobs in Canada in different provinces, but there are highly educated jobs. So we want to make sure those jobs are filled.
Okay.
So we want to bring people who have those skills that they can fill up those jobs, so the Canadians get good services, plus they can integrate into our system and pay into our system.
Okay.
That's what our we want as economic immigrants.
Okay. Now, if I understand correctly from your bio,
Yes.
you worked as a realtor. You now own your own business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you moved to Canada at 19.
Yes, I was 19 when I moved
Okay.
here.
You have since created your own business.
Yes.
Which I understand is successful.
Yes, it's very
That's
successful.
what you do.
Oh, I have a driver training school. I
Okay.
teach commercial trucks. Right now, I'm contracting the city of Calgary. I teach a lot of their employees
Okay.
how to drive big trucks because we need standards and stuff. So that's what I'm doing, and I've been doing that for 11 years.
Okay.
And it's very successful. Yes.
Okay. What specific skills would you say you brought to Canada when you came here when you were 19?
Well, as a young man at the age of 19, where I couldn't speak the language, I could understand, I could read and write, but you guys were speaking so fast. I couldn't understand, so I'll catch up a couple of words and the rest of my watch fly them away. So I said, okay, I have to learn how to speak English. But I didn't go to any school, I just talked to people.
Okay.
And they taught me how to speak English, like without accent. I still have accent, but when people teaches you and while you're working, you're integrating into system, into society. And I loved it. And it didn't cost me anything. And while I'm working, and I learned English.
Yeah. So I guess the question that I'm trying to get at though is, it seems to me that you're an excellent success story for immigration in Canada, and you came to Canada at a relatively young age. I didn't even know that you could speak the language, so there's something new on that. You speak very well now.
Thank you.
You didn't speak the language. You came to Canada, and you managed to make a success out of yourself to the point where you have a successful business. You're running for one of the highest offices in government. And you're quite optimistic about your chances. Doesn't that sort of speak to the fact that academic credentials aren't necessarily an accurate determinant for how well someone can integrate into Canadian society?
Well, I was very fortunate that I had a family here who took care of me.
Okay. But isn't
And-
one of the policies of the PPC to eliminate a lot of that family immigration piece?
No,
No?
definitely not. That's not our policies.
Okay.
We are reducing the numbers. We're not eliminating anything.
Okay. So
We're just reducing the numbers.
Okay.
Yes, that's all it is.
But you might not have had that opportunity if those reduced numbers had existed then.
Well, that's true. But if you look at it right now, the immigrant people coming here in the numbers, okay, nothing against any immigrant, because I myself was immigrant, plus people who are crossing the border in thousands. Now, I understand they want to come to Canada because they heard about Canada. Canada is a good place,
Hopes and dreams, as you said.
right? Canada is a great country, yes. But we want to make sure we can take care of them. So their dreams, their hopes are not shattered.
Okay.
And that's the only reason we're reducing the number. But it's only temporarily. As we needed more and as we improve our system, we have infrastructure, housing and stuff, yes, we will increase it. But right now, the need is to reduce it.
Okay.
And it's just policies. Like I said, if 500 of people, relatives come to your house, how can you handle it? So
Well, I got a trailer
just
out back.
What's that?
I have a trailer out back. I can put a couple in.
There you go. But 500 then?
Probably
Right?
not 500, no.
Yes.
I don't think I have 500 relatives, so.
Well, I got more than thousands of relatives.
Oh.
Not just in Canada, I have lots of relatives. I
Holidays
have
must be
relatives in
crazy.
India, I have relatives in England, I have relatives in Australia, I have relatives in the US.
Okay. Since we're talking about refugees, let's move to that piece.
Okay.
Break that policy. What are the main points that you think voters should take away from your guys' refugee immigration policy?
Okay, so now when I wanted to come to Canada or my family, we had to wait about 5 years in the lineup and we paid for everything personally. I want to make sure people respect our laws.
Okay.
If they wanted to come to Canada, no issue whatsoever. They file their papers and they wait for their turn. They cannot just jump in front of everybody else. They should understand that we have laws, and they must follow those laws.
Okay.
We're not saying refugees are not welcome, but in U.S., it's not a third world country. They're safe there. They really don't need that protection that they're looking for. We want to make sure the refugees, people who are absolutely in danger, we help them first.
Okay.
And if let's say in the U.S. they want to come to Canada, hey, they can file their papers from the U.S. and get in the lineup. Yes, we will look at it. And if they're safe to come into our country, they don't have criminal records, right? And they're going to be good citizens of Canada. Yes, they're more than welcome.
Okay. With the refugee piece in particular, I get the whole U.S. border thing. I wanted to make sure that I understood part of this correctly. You guys want to build a wall?
No. Basically, what we want to do is we want to declare the whole border with U.S. as a port of entry.
Okay.
Means if you want to come to Canada, even from dirt road, you must have papers, a document that allow you to come to Canada.
Okay.
If you don't have those documents, you will be turned away,
Okay.
just like any port of entry.
So the fence that it refers to in your policy is more of a metaphorical one then?
Yes, we have to have some sort of mechanism to make sure they don't try to come to Canada.
Okay. So you
And
want
we will
a
have
fence, not a wall.
that's right, and not
Okay.
not on the whole border,
Okay.
just where the problem area is.
Okay.
And we will make sure the RCMP and border security guards, they don't let anybody in who doesn't have proper paperwork.
Okay. So you guys will increase funding for border security?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Have you ever heard the expression, if you show me a 10-foot wall or a fence, I'll show you an 11-foot ladder?
No, I haven't heard, but I understand what that means.
Okay.
So that's why we don't want to put the walls.
Okay.
We want to make sure we create policies that they are not welcome here unless they have proper paperwork. That's what we're saying. We're just making the policies.
Okay.
We don't
So,
want,
as
like
an MP,
like
would
Trudeau
you-
said, with open army. Yeah, you don't need any paperwork. Just walk across the border. No, we are a sovereign nation. We want to make sure people who come to here to Canada, they are not criminals. They're not terrorists. Make sure they apply as per Canadian immigration laws, and they're following the laws. If they enter into Canada illegally, breaking our laws, what else they gonna do after coming to Canada?
Okay.
So that's a very big concern for Canadians. They want to make sure people who come to Canada, they are vetted and make sure they are safe and they are following the law.
So
but
is it-
entering from illegal point, the first thing they did is broke the law.
Yeah, I agree.
And we don't want anybody to break our Canadian law.
Okay. So as an MP, would you vote for funding for the building of a wall or a fence if that's something that the PPC, Maxine Bernier, for example, if he decided that he wanted to put a bill forward asking for increased funding for a wall or a fence, would you support that?
I think Mr. Trump, President Trump, loves walls, so I think he will do it on his
I
own.
think
We don't have to spend any.
Oh, no, in
Okay.
Canada. I don't think we have to pay for the U.S. border with Mexico, as much as I'm sure Trump believes he
I-
can get everybody to pay for that wall. But in regards to the wall between Canada and the States,
No.
You wouldn't vote for that?
I would say we have very good friendly relationship with United States for a long time.
Okay.
They're very good trading partners. We don't want to treat them with a wall to separate as Canada and U.S. as a different countries.
okay.
Yes, we are common goals, but we also want to make sure that the illegal border crossing by those refugees is stopped.
Okay.
And if we have to put more manpowers, yes, absolutely we will do that. If we have to put some places a fence as a deterrent, absolutely we will do that.
Okay, so you would pay for funding for a fence?
On a trouble areas, yes.
Okay. Cool.
And it's not a big cost. It would be temporary. We just want to make sure they don't keep walking across the border.
Okay. Hopefully nobody opens a Home Depot up on the other side. What kind of criteria would you be looking at for fewer refugees? Because I know one of the hot points in this election, in particularly in Alberta, has been the whole question of the Syrian refugees and the numbers of Syrian refugees that Canada has accepted as opposed to other countries in the world. I would argue we have a bit more space. But what are the criteria that you would like to see to determine what refugees should get in faster than other refugees?
Well, I would say if a government or a society in other countries are doing genocide to other people just because of their religion, their faith, or skin of their color, I would say we need to give them protection.
Okay, so you wouldn't put Syrian refugees, for example, you wouldn't put a cap on the number of Syrian refugees that we would accept?
Well, we will keep, like I said before, we can bring only so many people in.
Okay.
We can't just bring 5 million people a year. We won't be able to handle it.
Okay.
I personally want to make sure that any immigrant or refugees comes to Canada, their dreams and hopes are not shattered. So if we can't handle them, their dreams will be shattered. And
I think
do
there's
not
probably
want
a healthy number of people who are coming over from Syria whose dreams and hopes are limited to not having barrel bombs dropped on them. And if that's not happening here, they'd probably be pretty happy with that.
Well, I understand that, but if you look at the other way, Syrian people, they speak their own language, and their next neighbor is Saudi Arabia. They speak same language, and their environment is same. But Saudi Arabia is not even taking one single refugee from Syria. So you can't say that Canada is the only country that have to take care of every refugee in the world.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
One of the things that I think makes Canada unique, I'll get to the next question in a second, one of the things that I think makes Canada particularly unique in the world is that historically, when we've seen things happening in the world that we can't abide by, we don't typically take a look around at what all the other countries are doing and go, well, if they're not doing anything, we don't have to too. I think it's one of the things that has made Canada's reputation as a worldwide peacekeeper, although that has been somewhat tarnished over the last little bit, that has set our reputation as worldwide peacekeepers. So for me, the whether or not Saudi Arabia or any other countries are behaving to the same high standard that Canadians hold themselves to doesn't really factor into it to me.
No, it's definitely not.
I don't think that we should be using Saudi Arabia as necessarily our moral compass on some issues.
Yes, I understand that. But if you tell me that we can handle 3 million people in a year from Syria, that's not possible. We can do, yes, we will help. Okay. But we can do certain numbers to make sure.
How do you get to those numbers is what I'm wondering.
Well, if let's say if we don't have housing for them, we have housing for 500 people. Why would we bring 2,000? So it's a day-to-day thing. Okay, so we have housing for 500 people. They taking care of, they move on. Okay, we are welcoming another 500. That's how it goes. We just can't say, okay, we are taking 100,000 people today, and we only have 10 houses here. Oh, you gotta, I don't care how you handle it. All of you 500,000 people can go into those 10 houses. It doesn't work that way. So it's not we are against or anybody. No, it's the policies. We want to make sure the decision Canadian government makes is a responsible one.
Okay. Let's move on to what do we got here? Multiculturalism. Walk me through your multiculturalism.
Well, if you look at the government, especially Trudeau government, what they're saying, or Conservative government.
I want to hear about yours. I don't care. We're going to try to interview those guys. I want to hear about yours.
So what multiculturalism means that you can be anywhere from the world, but you must respect the laws of Canada and integrate to our system. That's why this country is great, and we want to make sure this country stays great. So if you have a problem in your home country and you do the same thing here, that's wrong.
For sure.
You're moving into this country for a reason. So you want to make sure you integrate to our society, the way we live, the way we follow the laws. That's what we want. We don't want you to live just like the way you used to live. We want to make sure you get fix into this society. That's what we want.
Okay.
And that's what I say, when Trudeau or Mr. Chief says multiculturalism, they want to make sure, hey, your group stays there, your group stays there, so we will come and pander you. No, we want everybody to be equal. And everybody must follow the Canadian laws, and they integrate into our system.
Okay. It says in your policy that you want to repeal the Multiculturalism Act and eliminate all funding to promote multiculturalism.
Yes, a lot of people don't know what multicultural funding is doing actually. There's some radio stations that are listened sometimes. They're ethnical. They are
Ethnically focused group.
ethnically focused group. They want to promote multiculturalism with your and my tax dollar money. But most of the time, what I hear on those radios is what's happening in their home country, what's happening in the politics. They don't talk anything about what they should do better to integrate themselves into Canadian society. So our money is going into waste.
Okay. I look at, since we're talking about multicultural radio stations, I know there's a multicultural radio station that operates out of the riding that you're actually running for, Red FM.
There are quite a few.
Yeah, there are. I'll use Red FM as an example.
Well, I don't listen to Red FM.
Oh, okay. I listen to it sometimes. They've had me on a few times. It's been delightful. But I know that they do, I believe that they do receive some grant funding. And they seem to, from what I've seen, and I say this as a white guy who lives in Coventry, they seem to do a very good job of being proactive with community events and engaging the community and crossing all kinds of different bridges between different cultures. Is that not a worthwhile endeavor for the PPC?
No. That's what. If they do that, that's okay.
Okay. You
But
just don't think it should be taxpayer funded?
Yes, it's a business.
Okay.
They should be doing the business on their own. They charge for advertisement, just like other radio stations.
Okay.
Like
So-
if it's run by, let's say, a white guy like you, you're running a radio station and you're not going to get funding. But
Which,
if
by
you-
the way, I'd like to just take a quick second to add, we're not funded by anybody.
there you go. So why somebody else will be funded? Why
That's fair.
discrimination?
I
Why
haven't
discrimination?
we haven't
there?
applied for any funding,
That's all
so
I
I
call.
can't really
That's
cry
all I call
discrimination.
treating Canadians differently.
But if
And
if the argument is that a business model should be successful based on the business model, then by that logic, the PBC would not support any business grants to any businesses across Canada.
Absolutely, that's one of our policies that will end corporate welfare.
Okay.
That's our policy. We will end corporate welfare. If you don't know how to run the business and you're going down, well, guess what? Somebody else will replace it. If my business was going down, nobody will give you any money.
Okay.
Why some special treatment?
So you would disagree then with the film industry grants, for example, that have been making a lot of news in Alberta recently, where in order to attract the film industry to come in and use our scenic province for backdrops for films, we've provided business grants and we've provided funding for them. You would discontinue that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If they
Perfect.
want to come to Canada because they love Canada and Canadians are good and they get cheaper services and less tax, hey, they are more welcome to come here.
But no
No,
extra.
there shouldn't be any special treatment to any corporation.
Perfect. I respect your conviction on that. The last one that I wanted to ask you about is the firearms piece, simply because it's a very contentious issue that we've been seeing a lot of play on. We just recently saw an incident happen just up in Cross Iron Mills last night, where there was a shooting. Boiled down for me what the PBC's approach to firearms would be.
Well, the legal firearms owners, they are very responsible. It's the illegal firearms that are contributing to this kind of behavior in our society.
Okay.
And I think people who own the firearm, they are very responsible for shooting or hunting or sports. They're very responsible. But if we don't have enough resources on our border to check what's coming into Canada, and that's where most of the handguns are coming from US. I think we need to put some more funding there, more border guards, like border guard agents, so they can make sure that anybody coming to Canada not bringing any illegal drugs.
Okay. Anything else that you would highlight out of that? I do have one particular thing I want to ask about, and that's the aesthetic value of the firearms. So one of the things that I found in your policy that really struck me was the notion that firearms be categorized based on function, not on looks or arbitrary political whims. I don't know what arbitrary political whims are, but that's something that I'd like to explore a little bit more. So
Okay.
what's your take on that?
All right. I don't own a gun. I never fired a gun in my life.
Okay.
Okay. It's not that I don't oppose the guns either. People who do not want to follow the law, you can't make them to follow the law. Like in Canada, if you kill somebody, you will go to jail. But people still kill people. So we cannot 100% remove all the illegal guns.
For sure.
But we will make sure that we take action, the policies that will reduce or try to eliminate those illegal guns.
Okay. But we're not talking about illegal guns here. The flavor that I got from the policy was that it was referring more to, and this has been the big debate up in the States there, the style of the weapon. So, for example, the big phrase that gets a lot of traction is the AR-15 style of weapon, or the military design style of weapon, where you've got the rails on the sides and it's got that tactical element. One of the arguments that we hear a lot against military style weapons is that if it's not a fully automatic weapon, then it's not going to have the same rate of fire, and it can't be used in the same way as the real gun would. What I take out of your policy there is that it moves in that direction with the idea that if the gun doesn't actually fire fully automatic rounds, but it looks like it does, we're going to categorize that gun more with what it actually does as opposed to how it looks. And that's sort of what I'd like to try to get your take on.
Okay. Well, I'm not expert in guns because I don't own one.
Yeah.
I don't do very much research about the guns. But legal owners of firearms, they don't have those kind of assault rifles, and they don't need it.
Okay, so you'd agree that somebody doesn't need an assault-style rifle?
Yes. So people who go for hunting or sport shooting, they don't need AK-47.
Nope. I totally agree. I grew up with guns.
They don't need AK-47.
Yeah, I grew up with guns, and I believe
And those responsible gun owners don't buy those kind of guns.
I couldn't agree more.
It's the illegal guns, or people who have intention to do bad or harm to other Canadians. And to do that, hey, if we need to make something like that, these type of guns are not available in Canada, absolutely, we should do that.
Perfect. I agree. That was easy. I have one more.
Yes, sir.
So the hate speech piece, and the whole freedom of speech piece. The line that I'd like to hear your thoughts on is the restrict the definition of hate speech in the criminal code to expression which explicitly advocates for the use of force against identifiable groups or persons based on protected criteria such as religion, race, ethnicity, sex, or sexual orientation. What's the value in making it an explicit threat as opposed to the things that are currently covered by it?
Well, what makes us unique and different is what's in our mind and how we say it. We should be, as an individual, we should be able to say what's in our mind. Yes, the method has to be good.
Okay.
It cannot be violence. But we should have our own mind, our own thinking, and we should be able to express that.
Okay.
Right?
So
Yes.
The question that I have is if I was to, I'll use my own race as an example because that's probably the safest thing for me to do. But if I was to say to somebody, I'm going to kick your ass because you're white, that would meet the definition of hate speech. under here. But if I say you're ruining Canada and you're ruining my community because you're white, that would be okay for me to say under your rules.
No, I think what is freedom of speech means.
But we don't have freedom of speech in Canada.
We should have freedom of speech.
We don't under the Constitution that we currently have, or the Charter.
Well,
we have freedom of expression, and that exists because there's a clear delineation between you should be able to say what you're thinking, but you shouldn't be able to say you're white, you're ruining Canada,
No,
and I want you out of my community.
No, you're absolutely right. But we want to make sure if someone is doing bad things, we say, hey, you're doing this wrong. You're breaking the law.
Sure.
We should have a say. Yes, we don't want to say, like I said, our party doesn't pander to a group.
Okay.
For us, every Canadian is same, and we will treat every Canadian equal.
Okay.
There's no difference for
I
us.
guess what I'm trying to understand is that if I was to put a sign on my front lawn that said, white people leave Coventry, currently that would be illegal.
Okay.
Under your rules, it would be illegal.
Well, if what you do on your private property, inside of the house, I shouldn't have anything to say.
Okay. So if I walk down the sidewalk with a big sign that say, white people leave Coventry, that would be illegal under current rules, but it would be legal under yours.
Well, I have seen people saying so many bad things on their car against certain leaders, certain parties, and they have the rights. They should have the rights to say what's in their mind.
Okay.
It's not
Even
that
if
it's not that they're bad people. They're just, the way they're saying is different.
Okay.
Or maybe they're saying it, they don't know how to say it nicely
even if
or politely.
persecutes or marginalizes a visible minority, that's okay.
No, I'm not saying that.
That should be legal. Sorry,
What's that?
if I want to say something that persecutes or intimidates a visible minority or a white person, and as long as I don't include the threat of violence, I should be allowed to do that legally, is what this policy says. I just want to confirm that that's...
So I'll just let you know what I personally think.
That's all I'm looking for.
What I personally think, I don't treat anybody differently. They're all equal to me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me, you're brown, you're white, you're black, you're yellow, you're green. For me, you're my neighbor. You're my fellow Canadian. And any policy that I would like to make will be equal to all of us.
Okay. Would you vote for a policy that made that kind of speech like that?
If you want to speak to somebody and it's done by decency.
I'm not being decent. If I said to my white neighbor, get out of this community, you white bad person.
I think
that should be legal.
I think the law doesn't need it to be there, because that person will get the response from that person right away.
Okay. All right.
I think it's been happening for hundreds of years.
I would agree that there have been groups that have been marginalized through speech for hundreds of years as well.
Yes. But if you look at it, people say, that group is doing like that. There's Antifa, there's racism, there's a lot of things. But this is all created by these two main parties. Liberal and Conservative Party have created that division in our society. Our party is saying it doesn't matter what you look like. You're all equal. We're not going to pander to anybody because you look more handsome than he is. We are not going to do that. We're going to treat everybody equal. That's what our party stands for.
That'll help me because I'm not that handsome.
Thank you. I think you're pretty handsome for yourself.
Is there anything that you wanted to add to the people who might see this before we wrap up here?
Well, I'll tell you on your face. I will tell you honestly. We've been electing lesser evil of the two for decades and decades. And there has nothing, absolutely nothing have changed for Canada and Canadians. I personally request you to look at the PPC, or People's Party of Canada's platform, and you will see why our party have good policies that are good for Canada and good for Canadians.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate
Thank you.
it. And best of luck.
Thanks.
I can't get much farther out of the desk.